Hi there, everybody. This is Lee McQueen, and I'm talking about a public affairs type of thing again. This is an episode of Democracy Now! Where Jill Stein was in a debate with Ben Jealous. Jill Stein is Green Party presidential nominee, presumed and probably confirmed next week in Houston. And then Ben Jealous is the former head of the NAACP, who was also a surrogate for Bernie Sanders, and then who is now a surrogate for Hillary Clinton. And so there is a debate between Ben Jealous and Jill Stein talking about progressive politics. And I wanted to emphasize that the debate was between Ben Jealous and Jill Stein and was moderated by Amy Goodman and Juan Gonzalez. However, my reading of the transcript and probably your viewing of the interview itself will show that Juan Gonzalez really jumped in there to help out Ben Jealous because apparently Jill Stein is just too effective a debater to really be handled one on one. She usually has to get double teamed, but even so, she still comes up the winner in almost every debate that I've seen. So people kind of don't really expect that. They say, oh, I can handle this, I can handle her. And she just goes one on one, two on one, three on one. She took on three pundits at Fox News and shut them down. So Juan Gonzalez, the moderator, had to jump in to help out Ben Jealous. And that's okay. You know what? It's practice. Um, she just keeps getting better. I'm really proud of how Jill Stein just stays on target, answers, points, and makes her case. So, in this transcript, it looks like Ben Jealous was for progressive issues and for Bernie Sanders until he was for Hillary Clinton. And it's just all other priorities rescinded. Now that Hillary Clinton is the Democratic nominee, all other priorities are rescinded other than getting her into office. Progressive priorities are rescinded, economic priorities are rescinded, environmental priorities are rescinded, foreign policy priorities are rescinded, everything, police violence, criminal justice reform, all of those priorities are rescinded and buried under the heavy burden it takes to get Hillary Clinton into the White House. So and we've seen this over and over ever since 1992. So if there's ever an attack line by the Republican Party, like you're soft on the environment, you're soft on terrorism, you're soft on crime, you're soft on, this and that. That priority is immediately rescinded by the Democratic Party in favor of countering the Republican Party on these points. And it's the same way that Jesse Jackson was considered a progressive threat. He was winning state after state after state during his Democratic primary run. And it was the Democratic Party that sabotaged Jesse Jackson because he was just too successful and they were getting attacked by the Republicans saying, like, well, he's soft on crime and he's soft on the poor and he's black. And things like this. And so the Democratic Party sabotaged Jesse Jackson because they didn't want to be called all these things by the conservatives. It made them nervous. And so they sabotaged their own front runner, kneecapped him, and then Michael Dukakis just went on to lose. In the next 4 years, Bill Clinton came out and he was executing. He was coming up on the side of law and order. He was talking about poor people, how need to get off welfare. He was a Republican dream. So right out of the gate, Bill Clinton saw the need to out the Republicans, in order to not be branded as soft on anything. And then, 25 years later, millions and millions of incarcerations later, hundreds and hundreds of deaths later, we come to 2016, and people are still being shot down in the streets because the Democrat Party is terrified of being considered soft on crime. And so this is where we are now, where Hillary Clinton is still not being held to account for her participation in not only lobbying for a crime bill, but also profiting from the crime bill. She can stand on the stage with these mothers, and everybody is choosing not to admit it is the 1994 crime bill that caused these deaths. And not only that, Hillary Clinton was the one who lobbied for the crime bill. Not only that, that Hillary Clinton is the one who profited from the crime bill. What has she done with that money anyway? All that prison lobby money, what has she done with it? She spent it? Did she start a foundation or a charity? Oh, my bad. She already has the Clinton Foundation. Never mind. But anyway, so criminal justice reform, environmental regulations, all these priorities are rescinded under the heavy burden and task and time, money, and energy and focus it takes to elect a criminal herself, who barely and still has not completely escaped FBI investigation, who may be up on perjury charges, who is still being solicited for deposition by Judicial Watch for sworn testimony about her private email server, who is a subject in multiple election fraud lawsuits, deception lawsuits, fraud lawsuits, by all quarters. It's almost like, can you even keep track of the number of lawsuits that the Democratic Party, Hillary Clinton, the Hillary for President campaign, all over the place, lawsuits everywhere. Anyway, this is who's under discussion. And despite all these issues of voter disenfranchisement, of election fraud, of racketeering, of public corruption, all those priorities become rescinded as well. The voters themselves, the crimes that committed against these voters, the violations of their civil rights, all of those priorities are rescinded under the desperate need that some people have of putting Hillary Clinton into office. And it's not necessarily defeating Donald Trump. They're saying that, but it's not necessarily that. If they wanted to defeat Donald Trump, Bernie Sanders was the man to do that. Bernie Sanders defeated Donald Trump easily, but Bernie Sanders was kneecapped, left, right, and center, and we've got proof of that. It's not a conspiracy theory anymore. The hinky fundraising scheme between the Hillary for Victory Fund, that little hinky fundraising scheme where they transferred money to the state parties and the state parties transfer the money back and blah blah, and it's for down ballot candidates, but not really, it's for me. That was exposed by emails. Media collusion was exposed by emails. The fact that there were saboteurs installed in Bernie Sanders' campaign, that was exposed by email. And so they're saying like, oh, those Russians, they told our secret. And I'm like, well, but you wrote them. Those are your names in the to line. I mean, to and from line. That's your email. You wrote it, right? So who cares who exposed it? There it is. There's content in there that's inconvenient for you. It's inconvenient truth, but it is a truth. And so now everybody knows that all these conspiracy theories that Bernie Sanders just noted over and over during the campaign, and people dismissed him, dismissed his supporters, the voters, us, the progressives, the majority who voted for Bernie Sanders. All that was dismissed, but it's been proven. And then the voting apparatus in 11 states, the discrepancies in the voting totals, that's being proven. It's being investigated. Data has been assembled. There are lawsuits going forward. These are factual items of concern. But for Juan Gonzalez and Vangelis, all of these priorities are rescinded to getting Hillary Clinton elected to office. not necessarily defeating Donald Trump, because again, Bernie Sanders easily defeated Donald Trump, and they said, not you, Bernie Sanders. It has to be Hillary Clinton, who cannot defeat Donald Trump in a fair fight. She needs all these mechanisms, these trickeration mechanisms to these criminal acts in order to defeat Donald Trump, these abusive behaviors towards the voters to defeat Donald Trump. That's what it takes to get a criminal herself into office, criminal activity. And Ben Jealous is saying, well, so all other priorities rescinded. Voter priorities rescinded, everything else, it's Hillary Clinton and nothing else beyond Hillary Clinton. And so back to Jill Stein. She's in this debate. She's, sitting there with Ben Jealous, answering him point to point, and doing a very good job. And so too good of a job, which is what Jill Stein does. And so Juan Gonzalez decided to jump in and said, well, I'm a moderator, but you know what? Tag me. I'm in. And so then Jealous tags him in, and he tries to go to work. And Jill Stein is like, I'm on the side of right, so it's no problem. I love it. They, over and over, they hammered the fact that she's a presidential candidate, and how dare the Green Party run a presidential candidate. That's not their place. Only Democrats and Republicans should have it. You know what? And, maybe Republicans shouldn't have a presidential candidate. Only Democrats should have a presidential candidate. No other party needs to run for president other than, right? I mean, that's what it sounded like to me. But, they're saying, like, how dare you run for president? You should just focus on down. Why don't you run for Senate and, mayor and governor and stuff like this? And it's just wacky, and again, all of the priorities rescinded. Democracy, that priority is rescinded in order to get Hillary Clinton into office. Everything else, it doesn't matter. When it comes to getting Hillary into office, some people will lie, cheat, steal, and kill because those priorities do not matter. Only Hillary Clinton being in the presidency matters. But they're questioning the Green Party, like, how dare you run for the presidential office? And I'm like, do they ask the Republican Party that? How dare the Republican Party run for office? How dare the Libertarian Party? How dare anyone other than Hillary Clinton run for office? Democracy now. Or maybe 4 years from now. They're saying, 2020, okay, maybe then you may run for office. Just wait, and then 2020, well, you know what? Just wait. 2024, we got the Supreme Court, we got this, it's too important. Only the Democrats, and that's just tiresome. But one thing that I have noticed that the same thing comes up besides how dare you run for president is the focus on the willful ignorance that a lot of people have about the Green Party's down ballot candidates. Their refusal to acknowledge that there are down ballot candidates in office. Currently, they're holding office at the state and local level. And then there are down ballot candidates running for office. Governor, senator, mayor. There's Aaron McConey, who's running for the Senate in Colorado. He's in a contest with a Republican and a Democrat who are flexible on fracking and the Trans-Pacific Partnership. The Republican is for all these things. The Democrat is kind of double talking like they usually do. But, Aaron McConey is against Trans-Pacific Partnership. He is against fracking. He's the Green candidate for Senate in Colorado. And I hope people are paying attention. I've done a show about him. I've spoken about him several times. And I've seen him in interviews. He seems like the real deal to me, very genuine about his positions. And as a Green, when he says he's against it, you can believe him. He doesn't flip-flop, and the Greens don't. And then there's Charlotte Britt, who's running for Green governor in West Virginia, which is very populist in their outlook. She's focusing on economic issues. high priority are jobs with her, income inequality. And so, Green governor, and I haven't seen her in an interview, but I've read her interviews in news articles, and she seems very determined to move West Virginia forward to get some reforms in terms of the economy. And again, I did a show on her, and I was pleased to do so. And I really hope that she finds success. But let's not pretend that she doesn't exist, because she does. And then there's Joshua Harris. He is the Green candidate for mayor in Baltimore. I have listened to his interviews, and he genuinely cares about his city, the economic disparity, which is pretty drastic, and then also the crimes committed against the citizens by law enforcement. He wants to normalize these relations. He wants people to not be fearful about the future in terms of, where will I have a job tomorrow. He's all in for the Green New Deal up in Baltimore. So there are candidates running for office. There's also Al Batrell, I believe his name is, and he's in, I think it's Atlanta. Art Betrell. He's in Atlanta, and I haven't done a story on him, but I believe he is running for mayor. He's an African American. And so people are pretending like these down ballot candidates don't exist, or maybe they just don't know about them. Maybe they're not even pretending. And my suggestion is to counteract that argument that Dan Savage, also seemed to be really fixated on, like it was the only thing that he was thinking about that day. These green down ballot candidates, they exist, they're running. There's an entire database full of them on the Green Party website under elections. I'm thinking that the Green Party needs to get in front of this particular argument, and from now on have links to these down ballot candidates on their homepage. You have featured candidates, but maybe put a picture of the featured candidate on the homepage, and then a link to the rest of them, so people can say, oh, there's down ballot candidates. And it doesn't have to be answered in every interview. Like, yes, we do have down ballot candidates, but people can see it for themselves. And then the other part of this is probably Jill Stein also needs to step more forcefully in front of this issue in the very next few speaking engagements. Just name check left and right the down ballot candidates. Just like Arn McConey, the Green candidate Senate for in Colorado. I also feel that, name drop. That's what that's the only thing I can suggest in terms of getting in front of the accusations that the Green Party just wants a president and not a senator or a state senator or a representative or a governor or a mayor. And it's just not true. We know it's not true. If I found him, anyone else can find him, but then I go looking. Not everybody looks. Some people like to be told. I don't like to be told. I like to find things out. I take time to do that. But I'm thinking that maybe if Jill Stein can get in front and speak about this more, the down ballot candidates who are running across the nation for the Green Party, I think that's still a way to promote Green Party politics, and then also counteract a narrative that the mainstream media is trying to build around the Green Party. Good luck.